Hello, welcome to Chingster's video on special pairs of angles. This is the first and introductory video for our unit on plane geometry. We will first look at complementary angles. Let's see if you can recall what complementary angles are. Feel free to pause the video if you need some time to think about it. Complementary angles are two angles whose sum is 90 degrees. Let's see what this looks like on the diagram. So I will first draw a 90-degree angle. And if I draw two adjacent angles, A and B, and I can say that angle A and angle B are complementary angles. And angle A is the complement of angle B and vice versa. And we know that A plus B gives you 90. Now what happens when the two angles are not adjacent? For example, if I have an angle here, this is 20 degrees. I'm going to call this angle C, and this angle D, which is 70 degrees. Are angle C and angle D complementary angles? Think about it. The answer is yes, because angle C plus angle D gives you 90 degrees. So going back to the definition of complementary angles, any two angles whose sum is 90 degrees will be complementary angles. Now let's look at another special pair of angles, the supplementary angles. Do you remember what they are? Pause the video if you need some time to think about it. Supplementary angles are two angles whose sum is 180 degrees. So let's see what that looks like on a diagram. So I'll first draw a straight line, which is 180 degrees, and two adjacent angles. Let's call them, say, D and E. So from here you can see that D plus E equals to 180. So I can say that angle D and angle E are supplementary angles. And angle D is the supplement of angle E. Let's look at two angles that are non-adjacent. For example, angle X, which is 30 degrees, and angle Y, that is 150 degrees. Since the sum of angle X and angle Y equals to 180 degrees, we can say that angle X and angle Y are supplementary angles. We will now look at vertical angles. Do you remember what vertical angles are? Vertical angles, or also known as vertically opposite angles, are two angles such that the sides of one angle are opposite rays to the sides of the other angle. So what does that look like? Let me just show you. So if you draw two rays here, and let's call them A, the angles A, B, C, and D, we will say that angle A and angle C and angle B and angle D, they are vertical angles. There is a special theorem on vertical angles. So let's see if we know that angle A and angle B are supplementary angles. They add up to 180. And we also know that angle A and angle D are supplementary angles. They add up to 180. So if you look at these two equations, for this to work, angle B must equal to angle D. So we call them angle B and angle D are congruent angles. And same thing for angle A and angle C. So we know that A plus B is 180, and also B plus C equals to 180. Let me rearrange this. I get C plus B equals to 180. So again, in order for this to work, angle A must equal to angle C. So I'm going to use a different color here. Angle A, I'm going to use it as for 2 bars. Shows that these two angles are equal. So angle A will be equal to angle C. And then over here, we say that angle B is equals to angle D. So this also gives us the theorem that vertical angles are congruent. So the vertical angles are equal to each other. We will now look at angles in a right angle. If you have a right angle and you have 3 angles, for example, and then these angles A, B, and C, A, B, and C will add up to 90 degrees. So an example here, let's see if I have this angle, the first angle, which is 20 degrees, and we have another angle X, and we have an angle here which is, let's say, 30 degrees. And we know that 20 plus X plus 30 will give you 90, and X would be equals to 90 minus 50, and that will give you 40 degrees. And the reason why this works because they are angles in a right angle. The next example we're looking at is angles in a straight line. So if you have a straight line and you have 2 or 3 angles, let's call them X, Y, and Z, and angle X, Y, and Z will add up to 180. We call them angles in a straight line. And let's look at an example here. So if you have an angle, 3 angles here, if you have this is say 40 degrees, and we have this, let's say this is 100 degrees, and let's say this is angle Z. So 40 plus 100 plus Z will equal to 180, and 140 plus Z equals to 180. So Z will equal to 180 minus 140, and that gives you 40 degrees. Next, we'll look at angles at a point. We know that 1 revolution is 360 degrees. So if you have any angles, let's say angles, 3 or 4 angles, let's say this is, let's say E, F, G, and H. If you add them up, they will give you 360 degrees because they are angles at a point. Let's look at one example. So if we have this angle here, which is M, and we have this is a 70 degree angle, and this is a 50 degree angle, and another angle, this is say 80 degrees. So we know that M plus 80 plus 50 plus 70 will give you 360. So M plus 200 will equal to 360, and M will equal to 160. So this marks the end of our video. Don't forget to click subscribe, and we'll see you in our next video. Bye.